What's going on, Internet? I'm Christopher Peterson, and you're listening to the NerdEXP podcast. Today I'm hanging out with...
Guillermo?
Oh!
I'm sorry. I thought you were waiting for me to introduce.
I'm hanging out with Guillermo.
That's me.
And Drew.
Hello.
This is your first time? Well, you have 17 episodes to catch up on. But if
17, wow.
But if you've seen all those, I think it's actually more. But if you've already listened to all those...
Yeah, this is XX.
This might be 20.
This is XX?
I don't know.
Yeah, 20.
This is
Woo!
20.
We hit the big 2-0.
This is 20.
One more and this podcast can drink.
Well, yeah, 20, but then there's still the 2 lost episodes. So technically we're at 18, and there's 2 lost episodes.
Technically, we're at 20.
If you want to email us,
Officially
we'll send you those 2 lost episodes. They are not as polished and great as this gym. So, what do we do on the show besides talk about the show? We go through this week's top entertainment headlines and talk about a topic of the week to level up your nerd IQ. We do that by giving contrarian opinions, and we want you to be part of that conversation. You can email us at nerdexp@gmail.com. Just like Guillermo did.
Bye.
Great show. 20 in the bag.
I don't know, the way you're saying it felt like... Okay, go on.
What? So...
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
So I guess we'll...
Alright, let's start over.
Yeah?
What's going on? I'm kidding.
I made the search. Alright, then let's keep going. So I guess the first topic that we wanted to bring up this time around...
Really want to bring this up.
I want to bring it up. So one of the things I wanted to bring up, because we talked about it before, every now and then...
Quite a
few times, so the story continues. Something that we've been covering or somewhat talking about, or I have, is the moves that Disney theme parks are making, in particular at Disney's Hollywood Studios. One of the big announcements last Friday, I believe it was the official announcement that the Sorcerer's Hat that currently resides as the icon piece of Disney's Hollywood Studios is being removed. Ever since I've been to the Disney's Hollywood Studios before it was MGM, the hat has always been there. So, people, there's the whole generation that has never been or seen Hollywood Studios without the hat. Apparently, the way the park was planned was coming in through Hollywood, through the main street, and seeing the Chinese theater in the back and working yourself to that. That's the way they designed the park. But in the early 2000s, as part of their celebration ordeal, they put the hat there, and it became kind of the icon for that park. So this goes along with them removing the backlot tour, completely taking it off, completely doing away with the American Idol experience not getting renewed. So we have now, So we have now a whole centerpiece of the park.
Indiana Jones. Right?
And then big rumors that Indiana Jones by December is going to be gone. Nothing has been confirmed on that, but there's strong rumors against that. So it pretty much, like I've said before, it leaves the whole center and back part of the park, up for grabs to really do whatever they want with it. So I guess that's what I wanted to bring up.
Hopefully not frozen stuff.
To me, that's exactly it. I mean, to me, this is a pretty big deal that Disney's making that kind of a move, in particular for being that this was the icon piece of the park. So that's pretty interesting to me.
You guys, the Epcot Globe, right?
Yeah, the Sphere.
MGM Studios or Hollywood Studios.
I still call it MGM Studios.
Right, everybody does.
I'm fine with all these moves. I quite frankly want Disney to make more of these. Disney Park, all 4 of them, and Universal are very stale for what they are. I think it's kind of crazy that I can go, at 30 and the park is 90% the same as it was when I went when I was 12. Like, I wish that they did update the rides, shuffle stuff around, and, maybe you would have your classics. But, I mean, at one point the Yellow Submarine was considered a classic, but they got rid of that. So, I mean, everything gets dated and, kind of should be...
The Michael Jackson thing.
Yeah. I mean, they only came
bring it back.
So, and I mean, Hollywood Studios needs to change. It's the third worst of the bunch. So
I guess at this point, again, everything leaning towards: are they going to expand into the superheroes, or are they going to go the Star Wars route? That's the big question that remains.
I mean, I know Disney has powerful lawyers, but I know there's a big hubbub when they even tried to have an Iron Man 3 wrapped monorail, because that was considered a ride, and Universal Studios in Orlando owns the rights to superheroes, Marvel superheroes specifically, so Disney is not allowed to market that as far as the Disney World Magic Kingdom is concerned. So I don't know, unless the Universal's kind of willing to take a fat paycheck and give those rights back, I can't see them having the ability to do superheroes no matter how much they want to.
Yeah,
They got their new monster movie franchise. They'll probably make plenty of money off of that.
Universal?
Yeah.
No.
Do all these superheroes.
And they still have the rights to Namor. Gonna make that sweet, sweet Namor movie.
Well, the crazy thing about Universal is that they have a lot invested into it. I mean, they have a whole island
That's
in their
true.
Islands of Adventure theme park. For them to lose the rights outright, it would have to be some crazy amounts of money. I mean,
They're probably wishing Disney bought Marvel before they got the Harry Potter park opened.
well, the whole deal was that Disney lost the rights. They were the first. Warner Brothers had approached Disney first for the theme park rights over the Harry Potter theme, and they turned it down.
At least they got Avatar.
which is the odd one.
Hasn't that been built forever? Like,
No, so they've been building it, and
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been building forever. It feels like right after that
and
movie
it's
came
not
out.
going to be really. I think the finished
2016, right?
2016, and I think with the last phase going into 2019. But the ride is supposed to be opening on 2016. So it definitely is building up to it. They've been building for about 2 years now in the background, officially maybe within last year.
You mentioned Harry Potter. One of my friends, I guess he helped me level up my NerdEXP, was saying that the Harry Potter theme park is expanding from Islands of Adventure to bleed into Universal proper. So that way, like, and there'll be a train that connects the two, but you can only go to both if you have a park hopper pass. So that way, like, any day that you go there, the expectation will be that you'll buy a park hopper pass.
That's already
moving
open,
forward.
Chris.
So,
Yeah, you didn't know?
That's already open.
anyway.
So they got the going to that. The way, I guess they did away with that is exactly it. The only way you can get from one side to the other is you gotta buy a two park admission.
I didn't even know they still did that. I thought they had switched to just one park. But I was wrong.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I mean, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, but I'm actually waiting for the crowds to go down a little bit more and more and more. So, theme park news. I guess that's it. I mean, that's a big move by Disney. It will be really interesting to see what replaces their icon piece. I mean, now they sit with a park, like Chris said, is their, I guess the third most, at least the most attended. I don't know what you would call it, but it's
Better than Animal Kingdom.
It's the better one than Animal Kingdom, but now it no longer, has that set piece. I mean, I guess they could go back to what it used to be, which was the Mickey Ears water tank that's in the back lot. But now nobody can really take pictures of it because the only way that you could see it was from the back lot.
Unless that's where the Animaniacs live, that's lame.
It looks just like it.
That's Warner Brothers Tower.
I know.
Universal's going to get that. Whenever that comes back.
Shrug, bring it back.
Moving on to TV news. I'm going to pronounce this 100% correct. Kira Yua Senta Zui Ranger is coming to the United States for DVDs.
Let me give it a shot. Kyoru Sentai Zurenja.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Maybe.
So why is this exciting, Drew?
What is this?
What is this? Like, what's
Kyoru
that?
Sentai Zurenja is the season of Super Sentai Japanese shows that was translated into the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series in America. So, and I've discussed on the show before that I have watched the entire series on YouTube, but this will be the first official American DVD release of Zyuranger. So you get to see, you'll be able to see the story that was not taken, in the American show. We just had the battles, them fighting in the suits and the droids. But now we get the rest of the show, which is a little darker. And I'm excited. I'll probably end up buying it.
Do you think it'll be dubbed, or...
They may have both, I don't know. I wouldn't watch it dubbed if it were. Maybe once, just to experience it, but...
What if they got the original 5?
That's what I was thinking. Well, they can't get the original 5.
Amy Jo will fund your movie if you dub this show for us.
That's right.
Yeah, so not much more to say about that, but I thought that was pretty exciting. Shout Factory is the group that is producing the DVDs. They announced on their blog sometime in the past week that they were going to be releasing this. They've released other stuff. I've read a list and I swore to myself I would memorize it, but now I can't think of anything.
So this might not be a fair question, but you're a local Power Ranger fan. Are Power Rangers more popular in America? Like, is the stuff that comes out, because they still make new Power Rangers, I think in Arizona, Nickelodeon or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that still imported from Japan?
Still in Japan, yeah.
So it's going in both.
It's still going on, yeah.
Okay.
It's ingrained into Japanese culture, as far as I know. I mean,
they always have that, and then I guess.
I mean, it started in the 70s in Japan.
Oh wow!
So, like, their first show was Gentai, or I don't remember what it was. It started with a G, but
Guyver?
No.
Oh.
But yeah, they had that. Yeah.
Not
Interesting fact though was the 70s Japanese Spider-Man show was created by the guy who went on to create the Super Sentai series, and so that explains why Spider-Man gets in a giant plane and fights people in monster suits.
Yeah, I remember seeing scenes from that. It is not very Spider-Man like.
Yeah. So
Spider-Man's flying. What? To me, I guess they're playing on the nostalgia factor that now the people who are the audience or were the audience back then with the Mighty Morphins like you, Drew, are actually able to afford this and buy it.
It's so late.
It seems awfully late.
Sure. I mean, this year was the 20th anniversary, or maybe last year. Last year was the 20th anniversary, 2013, and now we got the movie coming soon. So I mean, the Shout Factory didn't, as far as I could tell, I didn't find a release date. So they're just beginning this. They may be trying to time it with
the movie hype.
When more hype about the movie comes out.
Fair enough.
And they also hinted, I believe, that they were going to continue with further Japanese Sentai series as well. I don't know if they'll go back to the 70s one. I would be excited to see that because on YouTube the 70s one doesn't have subtitles. I watched one episode and was completely lost. So I would be interested in checking some of that out.
That's pretty interesting.
Next.
Speaking of next, moving on to game news.
Absolutely nothing.
Point and click adventure games coming out. This was announced a little bit ago, but kind of flew under my radar. But I thought Guillermo would get a kick out of it, and maybe you too in listener land. There's a game coming out called Randall's Monday. It is going to have the voice talents of Jeff Anderson and Jason Mewes. Jeff Anderson played Randall from Clerks and Clerks 2, and Jason Mewes is, Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, and all signs point to it being very inspired by those characters and kind of that universe. Not really a lot of mentioning of necessarily Kevin Smith or Clerks necessarily being officially giving their stamp of approval, but definitely feels like a spin-off universe of that kind of existence. Yeah,
so I just you're exactly right. There's no really. It seems that it's not a direct connection to the Kevin Smith universe. Interesting.
And I mean, it's funny. Like as far as Kevin Smith's gone, as much as he's had Jason Mewes hitch his wagon to his star, the main guys from Clerks they kind of just disappeared. They didn't really do anything else. Maybe they got a bit here or there, but
yeah. Well, there was, a couple years ago, there was a big feud after, I guess, Clerks 2 was released, and it did okay in the box office, and it did very well in the video sales. The Weinstein brothers, there was a big fall apart, or a big drift between Kevin Smith and the Weinstein family after one of them pretty much disrespected him during one of his showings of his film. The guy just got up, left the movie, and started talking on the phone in the hallway very loudly while his movie Red State was still going on. At that point, Kevin Smith got up, went and pretty much cussed the guy out and kicked him out of the movie theater. This was one of I think it was Harvey Weinstein who did that. So out of that became, at that same time, there was a feud for money royalties from Clerks 2, to the point that beginning with Jeff Anderson, he got his lawyer involved and requested to see the books from the Weinstein brothers, because he felt that the movie did very much better than all this, than what they had gotten paid. And the way all of these guys got paid, Jeff Anderson, Kevin Smith, Jay Muse, all of them were producers on this. So that means depending on how well the movie does, that's how much you get paid. So they didn't get paid that well. Fast forward like 2 years, 3 years later, actually it might have been even the earlier part of this year, they finally got the whole deal sorted out, and they got a bunch of money. But so Weinstein was keeping a lot of money. So that relationship, right? Yeah. So that relationship, I think, set these guys apart. And for the longest time, the last person to announce really that it was going to be part of Clerks 3 was Randall, because Jeff Anderson was the one holding out.
It's always so ridiculous to me. Like, I know this is corporate greed and whatever, but the Weinstein brothers and the Weinstein company have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Jeff Anderson probably has thousands of dollars. So for him to get his royalties, like, let's say it's, 500 or $1 million or $2 million,
mm-hmm.
that money means probably a shit ton more to him than it ever will to the Weinsteins. They just toss it in the pile.
Yeah.
And especially if it was negotiated in the contract. Like, it's always so ridiculous and shady that...
Well, that's a crazy thing, that it was a shady move.
That's the most important part. I don't care how important the money is to the guy that, if Weinstein's breached the contract, that's a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
That's probably just a settlement even then.
It was something. Part of that was the limbo that we saw with the Clerks 3 rights. The Weinstein company still owns that. And if the movie is going to get made, it's going to be, they have to bless it or pass on it before the movie gets made. Finally, I think earlier part of this year, they finally said that they passed on Clerks 3. So now Kevin Smith can go and I guess try to sell it, which he already did. He's funded 100% on Clerks 3. So that should be coming.
First yoga hosers.
That's right.
He was supposed to retire.
That's right. This is the guy who's supposed to retire, and I guess we'll have an update in 2 weeks. I guess Drew and myself will be going to Kevin Smith's Q&A on November 8th in Orlando, Florida. So that'll be interesting. I got a couple questions that I would be interested in asking him. So we'll see.
Also for gaming, PS4 firmware 2.0.
Talk about a tangent.
I don't really care about firmware updates. This one hit close to home. I downloaded the update as a good member of the PlayStation Nation. Started playing games, got done playing games, put my PlayStation on rest mode. Half an hour later, went back, went to turn on, hit the button, it went beep beep. Nothing turned on. I'm like, that's weird. Beep beep. Nothing turned on. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I looked online, sure enough, reports of system not being able to turn back on. Like, you enter it in rest mode, it won't turn back on. And I'm like reading this article, and like I'm starting to get pissed off and like freaking out. And then like they buried the lead. I don't remember what side I was on, bastards. Like 7 paragraphs in, they're like, "Don't panic, just unplug it, and then wait a minute and plug it back in. And it worked fine after the fact. But for a little bit, like I was definitely like in panic mode of like, I'm gonna have to mail this.
Damn you, Sony!
I'm gonna have to mail this to Sony to get them to fix it, or wait till they like get some crazy patch that I can put on a flash drive. And it was a scary minute. But PS4 2.0 brings software stability.
Interesting fact here.
A Wii U
Wii U has never not turned on.
A Wii U has never had a firmware update.
That's not true.
That is not true.
We got one with the Mario Kart stuff.
Oh man.
The big thing with firmware 2.0, it was like being able to play music through the mic independently, and like being able to use a flash drive. And it's kind of, unfortunately, I mean, both the PS4 and the Xbox One kind of playing catch up to some of the features that were in the original PS3 and Xbox 360 still. That was my little panic attack moment.
Sorry to hear that.
What about on that note? With I think we covered it in one of the podcasts, was the ability to use a remote display to play the PlayStation, like the cell phone. It was going to be the Sony Xperia ZX2 or something like, or Z2, Z3. Yeah, and then being able to do that was part of this firmware 2.0. And then over Christmas, I think what they're going to market is exactly that, a little, I don't know, 7-inch, 8-inch display that's going to sit with your controller. And that's how you're going to be able to play. You don't
kind of make it like a Wii U gamepad sort of thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everyone's copied Nintendo.
The PlayStation TV came out recently. In Japan, it was announced as the PlayStation Vita TV.
Yeah.
Came out. I know somebody who bought one, read online. Terrible device. Does not work. Like, it's even wired. The connection's really slow. A lot of latency. Maybe if you're playing a strategy game where you take turns, it'd be fine. But like if you're doing anything like, baseball where you have to time a swing, or a shooter where you have to, shoot and keep moving, like you are going to notice the lag. And the interface is this, it's the exact same as the Vita, which, is okay, but even kind of crappy for touch controls.
Yeah.
But even worse when you're using a controller to like navigate around like an iPhone menu. So, I mean, I don't know. PlayStation, I like my PS4, but I mean, as a brand, like, they're definitely floundering in some respects.
One of the most disappointing electronics that I have ever purchased was a Sony product. In the height of the media boxes and the, I just blanked on the big one. Other than Apple TV. Roku. So I remember when I was making that decision to go, streaming is everything. So I bought myself a media box. It was a Sony media box. And this thing was just horrible. I mean, plain horrible, clunky, non-wireless. It seemed like all the apps would just crash. Very disappointing. I think I'm using it as a paperweight, as a matter of fact. So that's it.
Sony.
I mean, in Drive Club for Sony, still a failure, still floundering around, people getting refunds because the game doesn't work, the online servers are crashing, and they promised a free version, a PS Plus version of it when the game came out. They're still not releasing that out. I mean, this was supposed to be a launch game, and it just came out in October, and it's still not stable.
What club?
I never heard of this. What happened?
Yeah, I've never heard of this game either.
It was supposed to be a launch game.
Okay.
For the PlayStation 4, then they pushed it back 2 months before
a racing game
launch.
I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's a racing game, kind of like Gran Turismo. Which is funny that Sony's coming out with it because Sony makes Gran Turismo, so it just seems like they're kind of doubling down in the same atmosphere. But I mean, driving games are typically pretty good for showing off graphics, showing what the system can do. Photorealistic cars are easier than people to kind of capture that shininess. But anyway, the game came out, and it's really Sony's only first-party game this holiday season, and it is a complete failure from a usability standpoint. Servers crash when you can log on; it's slow if you can log on. It's one of those things where some people reviewed it favorably, and people who play it are enjoying it. But I mean, if you can't play it, that's the vast majority, and it's upsetting. And I don't know. And some people kind of say, kind of quickly, that the game just came out. It's an online game. What do you expect? I expect my shit to work day one. Right. Like, I don't care if I buy Call of Duty or any game day one and it has online features. I expect them to work. I expect the service to work.
Interesting point, though, that you bring that. I think if you ask that to like a 12-year-old nowadays, they actually would be the opposite. They're like, yeah, well, they never get it right the first time around. We're so spoiled by the Nintendo, Super Nintendo days that when we purchase a cartridge, it worked. The worst thing that could happen is the game wouldn't come on and you just blew some air underneath it and miraculously that fixed it. So we're just spoiled by that. Those were the days. I mean, I remember when the PlayStation came out, and my option was either buy a Nintendo 64 or a PlayStation. Hands down, I went Nintendo 64. There's no freaking way I'm waiting for that loading time on the PlayStation. And for the longest time, that was the only thing that kept me away from PlayStations.
Yeah.
All the way until the PlayStation 2, like later in the phases of PlayStation 2, when Nintendo GameCube came out and also had loading times. So, those we're spoiled, man. We're spoiled by that. We saw better days.
I mean, like, I guess you're right. That's an interesting take on it. I just think as like consumers, we're just kind of complacent. Like a lot of the populace is like, well, like it happens. What do you expect? You went on the first day. Same thing happens if you go to a restaurant. The first week it's open, or when I went to Six Flags, the first weekend that they were open, and they like ran out of water and like had all sorts of problems. And all sorts of shenanigans, and everybody just kind of like shrugged their shoulders and said, "It's the first." Like, what do you expect?
That's.
Speaking of Sony's failures, we got a positive news update on the Nintendo Wii U.
That doesn't sound right.
A positive update on the Nintendo Wii U. I said it right. That's apparently Nintendo's on track to have its first annual profit in years.
Very nice, mainly due to the Mario Kart Wii U.
And they got that DLC, people spending $14 months ahead of time. I was one of them. I didn't.
This could
You're
be a
welcome,
game.
Nintendo.
So how do you follow, I
still play this game every weekend. And I got the gold glider finally. I'm still playing it. And I mean, when the DLC comes out next month, I'm going to be playing it even more. It's a great game.
What do they need to follow it? Super Smash Bros.
Yeah,
it is a great game. I mean, they announced that if you buy the 3DS version and the Wii U version, you get to play as Mewtwo.
Oh
no!
So now they've like gated characters and content where you have to buy both versions. So maybe they'll make it available other means later down the road,
or you can just pay to download Mewtwo.
Yeah, but I mean, that becomes a $40 piece of DLC if like you really want to buy the Mewtwo
amiibo.
So,
I mean, the amiibo's gonna give them some money. I think, at least in the beginning.
When is that?
Definitely.
Christmas time?
Yeah, it's coming out with Smash Brothers. It's premiering.
Oh, that's right. That's the first system, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and next year we get possibly Zelda. Zelda might be 2016 though. Who knows?
Zelda's 2016.
The Yoshi game and other stuff.
I mean, I don't know. Nintendo games look good. The Wii U is a console that I kind of almost want, but not quite. It's more free time.
I'm waiting for that price to just keep dropping. I think that's what we're going to see this holiday season.
Yeah, there's rumors.
Microsoft already made the first move and dropped the prices of their Xbox One $50. So now they're that point that was between what do I choose, the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4? Well, the PlayStation 4 was $50 cheaper than the Xbox One, so now you get to compare them both. Or was it the other way around? I see you guys.
The Xbox One started at $499, PS4 at $399. So they ripped.
So it was $100.
Yeah. So Xbox ripped the Kinect out of the Xbox One, and now it's selling it at the same price as the PlayStation.
Yeah. And then now they dropped it $50 less. So
I missed that.
Yeah, the Wii U is $350 for the deluxe, right? And the original was $300, but now they're not even producing the plain.
So a Wii U now is what?
The basic
$250?
It's $300.
Still
$299, right?
I think so. I think I need a Wii U to be $200 with a game.
Yeah, I'm with
for me to buy it.
That's crazy cheap though.
That you know what?
I mean, it's been out for 2 years now, so it makes sense. But I mean, if you think about it, that's crazy cheap.
But the only reason I say that, and it is crazy cheap, Wii U hardware is last generation. So what's the price of a PS3?
It's not quite last generation.
It's last generation.
It's not fourth gen. That's for sure. But it's slightly above maybe third generation.
So, I mean, Nintendo is Nintendo. That's it. I don't think Nintendo really, or the Wii U, can really compare to anything else that's out there. With at least it's not it's on its own chord. It's not on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. I think they gave that up a go. So, $299, you can get yourself a brand new Nintendo Wii U
with Mario, right? You get the new Super Mario Brothers,
or just have a kid.
Shout out.
No, he got that because he was the first. It's not going to keep going.
Dang.
Now you still owe me money for that.
Now there's no point. If you're listening, you still owe Drew money. Last bit of game news. The game J-Stars is coming out.
No idea what this is.
It's another Jason Mewes game? What is this?
JSTAS. You put it on the docket?
I didn't put it on there.
Alright, anyway.
It wasn't me. Somebody's hacked our docket. It was Edgar.
What?
It was Edgar.
Justice League.
Moving on to movie news.
Edit.
Plot synopsis for Terminator Genesis came out. So if you're sensitive to plot spoilers, I would jump ahead 5 minutes.
Either that, or if you just don't want to commit suicide after you hear this, because this is just terrible pieces of information. If you're a fan of this franchise,
I wouldn't put 4 terribles on there. Maybe 2.
2. This is what the 5th Terminator movie.
Guillermo in the terrible, no good, bad news.
No good.
So what's the quick rundown of that?
So the quick rundown of Terminator. And no one still has pronounced...
Is that Matt Smith from Doctor Who?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh man, I did not catch that.
So no one still knows how to pronounce this freaking title. It's Genisys, like system. So Genisys.
I would just say Genesis.
It's how it's supposed to be, but they just decided to go for this crazy...
Anyway.
New deal. Plot, I guess the plot is screw the first Terminator movies. The only constant here is what's in the future, which we never seen in a movie. So this is towards the end of the war. 2029, I think, is the year. And then this is when John Connor sends Kyle Reese to the past, 1980
something,
80 something, to go and protect Sarah Connor, John Connor's mom. Well, something happens, I guess, in the future, and an alternate past is the one that's uncovered in this, where the T-800, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's model in the first one, in the first movie, he is, I guess, the adopted dad of Sarah Connor, who is the orphan of another Terminator who had been in the past. So they completely
orphaned by a Terminator.
Orphaned by a Terminator. Okay, I'm sorry.
Her dad's not a Terminator.
Okay. So
unless there's a twist that's not been revealed.
Ooh. So that's the basic synopsis. Let's start over with new characters. I imagine there's going to be 2 timelines: people in the future, people in the past, and I'm sure there's some connection.
Star Trek 2009. That's what it is.
I mean, the Terminator timeline and series is so convoluted and so over itself, and just kind of tripped over its own mythology, that I have no interest in seeing this story played out. If I did have any interest, it would be a complete reboot. I mean, just keep the same concept. Maybe the names, but maybe not even that. Just like rename everybody. Terminators come from the future to 2014, and just go from there. But I mean, like the fact that they're still going to the 80s, they're still meeting up with Sarah Connor, they still have Arnold Schwarzenegger as a prominent role playing a Terminator. Like maybe if he was like some random scientist or somebody in the background, that'd be a nice nod. I mean, they're still trying to create that same weird time frame universe.
Well, I didn't know this, and I actually did read that. Is he owns the creative rights of Terminator? So James Cameron, at some point, gave away those rights and to a group, and part of that group is Arnold Schwarzenegger, who controls that brand. So he's the one that controls anything to do with Terminator. And as long as that's the case, I guarantee you he's going to be in every Terminator movie that continues to be made.
Can he update the ride in Universal?
That ride has been long rumored to be gone. That ride doesn't exist in California anymore. That ride was removed and replaced by the Despicable Me ride at Universal Studios Hollywood. So we
lost Jimmy Neutron here, right?
That's right, we lost Jimmy Neutron.
What are your thoughts on the plots?
I'm not as upset about it as you guys. I'd want to see some footage. All I care about is if it's well produced and you know the story it makes sense.
Because that's high production values.
Yes.
So,
like the fat kid from Super 8. Production value.
So this is a movie that's coming out, I guess, next summer. Is when we're doing this.
I believe so.
So this is about the time that you start releasing some information about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess the first reaction, I hate it. I think plot-wise sucks. But what else? I mean,
I'm open to it.
I guess props to them that they came up with a plot that seems somewhat original or different, which is commendable, I guess. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I don't think it's original. I think it's a kind of a bastardization of the first plot.
Yeah, that too.
Good enough.
Furious 7
I guess
kind of got pseudo-announced.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's always been in the works, but they kind of mentioned that. It's coming out. That's going to be its official title. Which is funny, because I felt like Furious 6...
Right.
But then they said it was too much. And...
It's kind of a slap in the face to the director who left the franchise. Because he really wanted the sixth one to be Furious 6, and Universal thought the fans couldn't handle it. So, like, the official title was Fast and Furious 6, but the title card of the movie just said Furious 6. So that was weird. And then that director leaves, so like, we'll call the next one Furious 7.
Interesting. So for many points, this is the first movie. I guess this is Universal. They have their own theme park. They have their own properties. They have their own markets. They're making a release party just for the trailer. They're making people, or they're offering people to buy tickets to go to Universal Studios City Walk in Hollywood and be part of this celebration of Fast and the Furious universe, where they'll have a Q&A with some of the stars. Plus, that'll be the world premiere that will be broadcasted online everywhere this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. To me, that's novel. No one's really done that. Interesting take. I mean, this movie, this franchise has crazy amounts of fans, myself included. I really like this series.
I'm kind of becoming a fan. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'm
6
excited.
movies into it, and you're still excited about the next
nerdy.
one.
How many movies have the 5th movie be the best one in their series?
Well,
not many.
yeah.
So, I mean, it is just a ridiculous, like, arc.
Who would have thought back in 2001, was it when the first one came out, that we'd have the Fast and the Furious franchise growing for 13 years?
Yeah, I mean, the car, the whole street racing is still pretty big, but these guys took it to a whole new level, and they made it into an action heist movie, which that to me is where they really did well with this. It's an super action franchise.
And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
That's right.
Period.
And Jason Statham on this one.
Yes, I have a man crush on Jason Statham.
Is to remember that Jason Statham is coming into Furious 7.
I feel like it's almost. I feel like Jason needs Furious 7 more than Furious 7 needs Jason. Because, like, where has he been? Like, what has he done lately? So I think this is. I think
he's never really had a blockbuster hit. I mean, Transporter might be his biggest name film.
Yeah, but he's a name.
He's
a name.
Yeah,
he's a name.
He's the best white man fighter, you know.
But he's a name that you know, and as soon as he got tied to this franchise,
I mean, Kurt Russell is in it as well.
Yeah,
classic '80s action guy. He's
car guy as well.
Car guy.
Jay Leno might be in it then. That's the criteria.
They are going back to California. This movie. They're coming back to LA.
He'll be in Tokyo Drift 2.
As long as there's a barbecue scene in the end.
Well,
I guess this one's kind of Tokyo Drift 2.
So that's pretty interesting. Just take on this. You know,
yeah.
It's a novel idea.
The trailer's premiering tomorrow. No,
Saturday.
Saturday is it?
Saturday.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's what I read.
If you're listening to this Friday, it's premiering tomorrow.
That's right.
Bingo. That's what I meant.
For trailer news, Netflix has an original series, Marco Polo. NerdEXP's Drew Dwight says, it's like Game of Thrones.
That's not how I worded it. My exact text was proper competition for Game of Thrones. It's men with fur coats and swords and bunches of naked women.
Proper competition. 2 points there. Netflix again taking an original, another one addition to their original series. I mean, Netflix is turning into another powerhouse.
Huge, rumored to be like the most expensive television series ever made.
Number
$90 million.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why they got no name actors.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't afford to pay anybody on this. To me, the whole time I'm watching this thing, and then really because of your comment about Game of Thrones, I'm thinking like, where are they shooting these movies? Like, where in the world can I just
this
go?
This one looks like China or.
I'm sure it's in New Zealand. Everything is in freaking New Zealand.
Mongolia, maybe.
So if Netflix spent $90 million on this, which just sounds like an insane number.
Yeah.
As somebody without $90 million, that sounds crazy. How does Netflix justify that it made money? Like, it's not like they get more subscriptions or anything. You know,
they just I don't
based
think
on views.
They're not going to lose anything off of the show. You know,
how much is Netflix? Like $15 a month?
No, it's like $8.
Yeah, for just the streaming.
So let's call it $9. They just need to get...
That's 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million people.
No,
listen. I'm going somewhere with this. This is 10 million
This is the engineer.
months.
Yeah.
No. I'm taking this further here. This is 10 million months, right?
Of one person.
Right. So in 1 month, I think I'm safe to say that Netflix has 10 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Yes?
In
Florida. In 1 month... Exactly. So in Florida, 10 million people, that's all they need for 1 month to fund the season. Let's say the season cost them $90 million. No brainer. I mean, Netflix is a huge powerhouse. What advertising do you see for Netflix? It's on Netflix. They don't have advertisement at all. They don't advertise out.
Release one trailer a year, you know.
That's insane. I mean, Netflix is a no overhead. Their website, the simplest website ever. No crazy icons. It's just pure pictures. Here's the movie description. Do you want to watch it? Do you not? It's so simple. So this is why I think Netflix is Netflix and the Hulus and everything. That's where we're gonna get this $90 million shows. Before, I don't think like a CBS or even an HBO or a Showtime would have ever said, yeah, the budget for the season is $90 million. Because on top of those $90 million, they're thinking, well, if we're spending $90 million on actually making it, we got to spend another $9 million to advertise it every Sunday here. And it just keeps adding and adding. Super smart move by Netflix. I think this is where the TV is going again.
Heck yeah. I hope it's a really good show because I want to see more 90 million epics such as a Final Fantasy series.
No one's listening.
It looks really stylized.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to have a lot of artsy shots.
Yeah, it seems a little kung fu kind of a Zhang Yimou Kung Fu style.
So all of us are complete, I guess, history ignorant on this fact. So if you know anything about this Marco Polo, write us an email. Tell us how ignorant we are, because I have no idea other than that game Marco Polo, which I'm interested in. Go ahead and look up. Tell me why Marco Polo game exists.
He went to Asia. Sailed on a boat.
The other important concept here is you're going to get the whole season all at once.
Mm-hmm. December 12th, by the way, 2014.
So you're going to get the whole season at once. You'll probably have to wait like a whole year to get another season. But that's pretty important. I mean, they got to play on that. I mean, you get the Game of Thrones. Part of the reason that they keep the audience coming back is because every episode they end on some kind of cliffhanger or some kind of crazy shock sequence.
I saw the first 3 seasons marathon, like just watching one after another. I saw season 4 week after week. Much more enjoyable to see it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
Like, or, multiple sittings and not have to, like, wait a week, and there's a week off, and now people are talking about it, and like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, just to be able to sit down and watch the show. And I think, Netflix already saw a huge success from this format in House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, so...
They cannot
now
go
we
wrong.
have Marco Polo to tide us over until House of Cards Season 3.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, a pretty interesting concept. Only Netflix can do it now, though.
Bravo.
Bravo
Not the
can't do
channel.
it.
Not the channel.
So last week, the Age of Ultron trailer dropped.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Drew?
I liked it.
Good.
I think a lot of, like you were saying about Marco Polo, there were a lot of stylized shots in the not the beginning part with the robot talking or whatever, but like in the quick scenes they show, there were some very interesting angles I really liked, and it didn't look like the first Avengers. Everyone's go-to talking point about the trailer, the song. I had to look up what it was. I was like, everyone's making a big deal out of the song. What is this song? And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
What's the song?
The song is I've Got No Strings from Pinocchio. Sung by a children's choir, sounds like. A slower version of it. Very ominous electronic tones in the
Definitely
background.
very electronic.
So, yeah. It was interesting. A nice fit, and it, matches Ultron's speech from the trailer. So, Ultron looks great.
He does look great.
Pretty menacing. What's his face's voice?
James
James
Spader.
Spader. His voice fit better than I imagined. I'm excited. Yeah.
Memo?
Super excited about this. Today, this is, what day is today? 28th?
29th.
They released, I guess, the full trailer that they had. This was what premiered with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the whole extended sequence, where it shows a little bit more of, all the Avengers just hanging out on a regular day. So that I thought
Regular night.
At regular night, correct. I thought that was even cooler to me. I haven't seen the original trailer that they released last week, and then this week they come back and then they release that interaction where everybody's like kind of halfway suiting up to try to lift Thor's hammer. That was pretty cool. And then having War Machine and Iron Man trying to go at it, I thought that was really cool. And then it kicks into Ultron.
Yeah, it's nice to see his introduction there, because in the original trailer it just starts off with him talking to them,
Right.
and you don't know what's going on. I don't even think you really know that he's standing in front of them in the original one. I don't remember catching that. So.
It's a cool trailer, very well put together. This is how you create the hype. I mean, this is a movie that's I guess it's post-production now. I'm sure there's some cut of the film already out there.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you continue the hype. I mean, this is Marvel at its best. Song choice, yeah, absolutely. I caught it the first time I watched the trailer. I'm like, wait a second, Pinocchio? What? I'm like, I guess, yeah, Disney and Marvel. I'm sure they had some input. So, crazy highlights on it. Hulkbuster armor, pretty cool. The one thing that I was a little surprised. So we see, I guess, some scenes are going to take place in what appears to be Germany, Russia, kind of Soviet, somewhere where the twins are being kept. I'm not really sure where that was.
Andy Serkis shows up. He looked like one of those guys at the end of Captain America that were keeping the twins captive.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that like I want to touch upon. Like the trailer looks beautiful. Like CGI looks spot on, gorgeous looking movie, high production values. During the fat kid are gonna love
production value.
And I know I shouldn't be worried because Marvel did Winter Soldier, Avengers was a great movie, Guardians of the Galaxy. They're running a positive high, but this is still the same studio that made Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 for some people. So I mean, like they can definitely hit and miss. And like I'm always kind of like, is this the movie that like really drops? Like it just looks like there's a lot going on. You have Ultron showing up, you have the twins, so that means you also have Hydra still floating around, and Baron von Strucker, and you have a quick shot of a bunch of girls doing ballerina, which
what was up with that?
I think it's a flashback maybe to Black Widow, or maybe it's just it just seems like a really weird quiet scene, or maybe a flashback to Scarlet Witch. So it just feels like you got some backstory going on. You have Captain America busting down an old castle. Maybe that's another flashback.
That's probably see that right there is where I think he's the one that where I got a little confused. I'm like, when I saw that, I'm like, all right, yeah, it makes sense. He's probably gonna go free the twins.
Yeah.
And then later on, we see the twins with Ultron. Mind blown.
And then Iron Man and Hulk fighting each other.
Yes.
I'm like, while the Hulkbuster looks cool, I don't want to see these guys fight each other still.
I was assuming maybe Ultron had the suit taken over, and that was his plan to stop the Hulk, was to use that suit. But
yeah, I mean, he's all robots.
Oh, wow. So, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're thinking this is not actually Iron Man. This is not Tony Stark.
I'd be okay with that.
That's pretty cool.
I don't want to see more hero on hero.
Yeah.
Fisticuffs.
Gotta wait for the Civil War for that one.
I know.
Shit, I jumped the gun.
No, good. Anything else on the trailer?
I can't wait for another one.
Dang it, there was something on this.
I can't wait for something else. And this is one of those that I've read many articles of things broken apart. I had not heard the whole deal with the ballerinas and any explanation. And this is the first time I'm actually hearing about this theory that you're saying that Ultron probably took over the armor to fight the Hulk.
That makes sense, though. I mean, Ultron's done that to Tony in the comics before, taking over his suit, so...
I remember what I wanted to say.
Yes.
As far as I could see, there's no Vision in the trailer, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I think they need to save something for the movie.
That's true.
And what's Andy Serkis' role? I don't think he's doing the Vision, but just like period.
Yeah,
that's always been a big question.
Well, they showed him in the trailer.
They did?
He's the
guy that we were wondering who he was.
Guillermo said, "Who is that?" And they're like,
"Oh,
I don't know who the character is, but I know the actor."
Oh, I just assumed that Andy Serkis was going to play CGI. Yeah. Like he's playing
Well, he might be doing both.
He's playing a real life.
They probably put him in as a character to hide that he was doing motion capture or something, But,
gotcha.
So I don't know what he is. Like he looked,
big,
run down.
He looked
dirty.
big, like. Bulky, big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a close-up. But yeah, I was assuming just by the look of him, because he matched the look of the guys at the end of Captain America.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe he's involved with the guys who had the twins captive.
Yeah, I mean, this trailer does everything right. It creates the hype. It's a teaser. But I mean, man, keep him coming. I can't wait for this summer to finally get to see more of it.
All of 2015. I want to hear
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to see any more trailers. Like, I already know I want to watch the movie. Like, I almost want to just be cut off.
But did they
I'm not going to be able to prevent myself, though.
Did they not do this for the first Avengers? They released one trailer, and...
I mean,
to be honest, I don't remember the trailer for Avengers at all. I remember the teaser that was at the end of First Avenger, right? But other than that, I don't remember a thing.
I mean, I remember the Avengers trailer had that round shot where they're all in a circle.
Yeah.
They got a lot of play off that.
Yeah.
So
can't wait, man. I can't wait. And then what's more interesting about this is it seems that they're really going to do away in this movie. And again, they're not going to reveal everything. Is how does it play into the rest of the cinematic universe? That's a real kicker here. And I know it's our topic of the week, which you really forgot to introduce at the beginning.
This is Phase 2. Topic of the week's Phase 3.
That's right. So topic of the week is Phase 3. So how that's going to lead into it and how that's going to tie in, I think it's going to be the best thing that this movie has. But I like the fact that in the teaser trailer, they focus strictly on just, here's the Avengers. So
yeah. Exciting,
absolutely. Nothing bad on the trailer, right?
All good.
Nope.
Yeah, all good.
So the first film coming out of Phase 3, just for reminders, Phase 2 ends with Ant-Man. So you've got Age of Ultron, Ant-Man coming out. Is May 20th.
Weird.
Right. I mean, I thought Avengers would always kind of capstone the phases. Mm-hmm. Is in May 2016, Captain America, Serpent Society.
No idea.
Nope, nobody had an idea. So 15 minutes later, they went, just kidding, Captain America Civil War. Which was a really weird thing to do with your own press release.
Yeah.
I don't know why, for like 15, 20 minutes, the internet was like, wait, is it Serpent Society? Is it Civil War? Like, I don't know. It created weird, confusing mixed messaging.
So right off the bat, to start up Phase 3, you're throwing your powerhouse storyline out there.
I mean, we've talked about Civil War before.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Like, I figured this would be one be an Avengers movie, not a Captain
Avengers 4 or something.
Exactly. And it just seems, I don't know, Captain America, I mean, that means that Captain America is going to be the good guy and Iron Man's kind of sort of going to be the villain if they follow suit with the way this story played out in comics. So,
it could, I mean, possibly start some sort of spin-off type of thing, you know, where Civil War would become its own storyline with multiple films. And maybe that's how they would then possibly get like Spider-Man or some of the X-Men in there. You know? Yeah. I think that would be interesting. But
how big of a role? I mean, I know Spider-Man plays a pretty decent role in the Civil War storyline.
Yeah, he switches sides. He starts off pro superhero registration, but then joins the Tony side, Iron Man side, but then joins Cap's side and goes vigilante. So
if he has a prominent role, what did the X-Men do on
they
this?
don't do much. They kind of
non-prominent.
Yeah.
Who is anyone? Are there any more prominent roles that maybe Marvel Studios doesn't have the rights to, other than Spider-Man?
Fantastic Four. Like Tony's brain trust was like Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and Hank Pym, and they were kind of like the founding fathers of the pro registration side. So,
and this is where the Fantastic Four split.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, even Age of Ultron is kind of a lifted title. There was an Age of Ultron comic that came out that had ridiculous time travel, starred Wolverine and Invisible Woman, split universes, and like all sorts of shenanigans. That the movie Age of Ultron is not going to. It doesn't look like it's going to have any of that nonsense. So,
like First Class and Days of Future Past are also lifted titles, right?
Right. So I mean, this could just be like, hey, you guys like this title, and we're going to have maybe like a wink nod theme to the concept of Civil War, but we're not going to do like the
that's
whole.
That's a big one to mess with, though. I think a lot of people would be upset about that. But I mean, as far as we know, what's a very strong assumed rumor is that it's going to be Captain versus Iron Man. So,
and I feel like they're now kind of acknowledging this would be the first time that we would see Black Panther show up. Who's going to be Chadwick Boseman? I recognize him from trailers, but I don't know if I've actually seen a movie he's been in.
Yeah, I looked through his IMDb and I've heard of movies he's in, but I've never seen anything. So he did a lot of TV work, like random episodes here and there of different shows.
That's interesting. So taking back this a little bit back, did I completely miss that Marvel was going to make some big announcement That they were going to have some kind
No,
of...
it was a secret, right? I didn't think people were talking about it until the day before it happened. But they had been invited a week earlier or something.
I happened to catch it on Twitter, 10 minutes before it started.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, Marvel announcements are coming out, Marvel big events. And I was like, I like Marvel. I like big events.
Yeah.
So I'll check it out. And I mean, they basically hold their own little, people kept referring it to Apple. They were on stage, did a big show. This was only half an hour. They kept it pretty quick and fast, all things considered. I mean, we'll probably talk about it for half an hour. So, all things considered, they gave a lot of information, and even not as much as people wanted. People still wanted kind of know more and ask questions. But yeah, I don't think it was publicized greatly.
Yeah, I think I first read about it the day before. Someone's like, here's some things we might learn at Marvel's secret event. And I was like, what's secret event? What are you talking about?
That's how good of a secret
And it was all just internet bloggers too, right? There were no official press there. Is what I took away from it. They invited internet only. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what I read.
It seems like such a risky move.
Yeah.
Well, they created the buzz, even if it was just bloggers.
Yeah.
They created a buzz.
The news people are upset.
Yeah. So we see, let's start looking at that. So 2016 is the year. We knew that Captain America had the May 6th release, which was the original Dawn of Justice release.
Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy had an official release in there as well.
On May 6th?
No, not May, just 2016.
No, I'm talking May 6th.
No, it was July 2017.
Do you think...
2017, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you think...
Never mind, go on.
I think at this point, when they made their announcement that they were going to be the same date as Batman v Superman, do we think that maybe Warner Brothers got a sniff of the possible storyline of this, and they said, heck no, we're not going to compete with that, and then they backed out of it?
Not impossible.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, there's always, similar movies that come out. There's corporate spies,
Definitely
espionage.
something to be scared of.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that if I'm starting the new franchise of DC Comics in the movies, and then I'm up against one of the most powerful storylines in comic book New Age history, yeah, I would have moved my movie too.
I would have moved it elsewhere. I would have moved it.
Right.
I mean,
it makes sense now.
They should have moved regardless. Captain America had that spot. Marvel movies have kind of unofficially, if not Marvel Studios proper, like X-Men or Spider-Man or something, have always come out that first Friday of May. So I think it was kind of always sort of known that spot was for a Marvel property.
Yeah.
DC was trying to flex their muscles and they lost. And they should have. And I would say the same thing if the positions weren't reversed, if Marvel started moving it around. I do think if they moved Captain America to the exact same day as Batman is now, just
that would be
screw with the Warner Brothers, that would be hilarious. But yeah, I mean, you could be totally spot on. And I kind of read an article kind of mentioning Batman versus Superman, kind of a lukewarm Superman and a brand new Batman who we might not be that enthralled with, but Iron Man, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., who audiences clearly love. Chris Evans, who people really enjoy, especially after Winter Soldier, which, was definitely a much stronger performance than he had previously. These are known properties and faces kids recognize. So, even when I went into a costume shop, they kind of had signage for heroes, and they had, clearly Chris Evans, Captain America, very Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man 4. Batman, complete rip from a, Jim Lee comic. Superman, complete rip. It was not Henry Cavill. So I mean, these characters are becoming more recognizable than their comic counterparts, and DC does not have that cachet.
Well, do you think it's because of great casting that they've done? I mean, I think that's really it. I mean, when Robert Downey Jr. first took over the role of Tony Stark, I mean, he was dead on. I mean, I think it has to do with the fact that Marvel has really hit it in the head with perfect casting. The only one that it's kind of up in the air for discussion is Bruce Banner. That's the one that is just maybe that's the farthest off.
I like Mark.
No, I think the cast choice is great, but as compared to what the actual comic books.
I think it's a little tainted as well because the actor changed.
Yeah.
Within the official storyline, so that was a little weird.
Yeah, but I think like Ed Norton, that was a good cast to me.
I like Ed Norton's.
Ed Norton's
I think Ed Norton is too recognizable as Ed Norton.
True, but physically,
Robert Downey Jr. is too, but I think that was his resurgence.
Yeah, so but physically to the actual like appearance of the character in the comics, Ed Norton was a good choice. So
I thought Eric Bana was better. I mean, I've never seen the movie. I don't know how his performance is, but I'm just saying, like, looks wise, I felt like he looked more like a Bruce Banner. Although my only exposure to Bruce Banner is the cartoons that play in front of the Incredible Hulk roller coaster. So that's what I'm going
pretty dead
off
on, though. That's pretty dead on.
Yeah.
We have 8 more movies to get through.
Oh man!
All right.
November 2016, Doctor Strange. Huge casting rumor is that Benedict Cumberbatch.
They didn't even have a date for that, did they?
No, you're right. All right, never mind.
Before this announcement, as far as I know.
I thought this was known. This didn't surprise.
I think they said the year, but I don't know about the date. I thought that was new. It was news to me.
Okay.
Long rumored.
And this is the day after. I guess the previous day they hadn't said yet. It looks like Marvel found their new Doctor Strange and.
That's a really weird rumor too, because a lot of sites are reporting it as fact, and then other sites are reporting it as rumor, or the others that he's in talks is not cited, right. And it's just crazy.
And then Marvel comes out the next day and confirms the fact that they are going to be making a Doctor Strange movie, but no casting announcement.
Well, no, I mean official announcement of the movie has been a while past. This is the first logo.
This is like the official, right? This is the official. I mean, I don't think at any point Marvel had really said, "Yeah, we're making the Doctor Strange movie."
They had,
officially though.
Yeah,
no, they had.
They had.
Okay,
because the search for the actor has been rumors flying everywhere for months.
If Benedict was confirmed, he would have been on that stage.
Yeah.
I think so.
So there's still some sort of negotiations going on
because they had the Black Panther.
Yeah,
but I think they just have everybody that is going to be part of the Civil War. So I think that's they only had Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
they only had them 3, and it's just the next movie that's up down the line.
2 movies from now, you're gonna know his name down pat. You're like, oh, Chadwick, I love that guy.
Not to be confused with Don Cheadle.
I was there for that one.
For May 2017, we have Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And the only reason I knew July is because they made a comment that it got pushed forward.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was still 2016, but I knew it got pushed forward 2 months, but I had the wrong year.
So, I mean, that's great. I mean, shows huge confidence. I mean, going from bookending summer to now leading summer. And I think we all loved the first Guardian, so I have nothing but good things.
Can't wait for the second one.
Yeah. One thing that people keep saying that Gunn has said won't happen is people are like, oh, you're going to introduce Captain Marvel because she has, she's a genetically engineered human who the Kree mess with. And that's how she gets her powers. And Gunn has said that Star-Lord is going to be the only Earth in space in his movies. Yeah. So the Captain Marvel will not springboard from this.
He said that at DragonCon.
So, any other thoughts on Guardians, Steve?
I like the way that they have all these nice little title letter blocks, fonts. Logos of what the movie titles are going to be, and I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Very embodies what the movie was about. A bunch of doesn't really care, kind of last minute. Oh man, we put a title, put a 2, and then some graffiti looking numbers. I think that was pretty cool. It goes perfectly with the theme of what
I agree that it matches the theme, but it looks ugly. So I have mixed feelings about it. Yeah,
I can't wait to see a poster.
And I'm wondering if that's going to be the final official logo.
I hope so. I honestly hope so, and I can't wait to see a poster with that logo on it and something else following that same kind of.
Rocket's hand with a spray paint can or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Piece of chalk. I don't know.
It's funny. Friend of the show, Edgar, pointed out that Iron Man has numbers, but everybody else just has subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
So Guardians kind of, especially seeing all the logos on a graphic, kind of sticks out as being the only actual numbered sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, do we think and then I know we got a lot to cover here, but do we think all these titles are set in stone, or do we?
Yes,
I think definitely.
I think they're set in stone, but I think we might get
Guardians of the Galaxy might be the only one that may not be, which would possibly explain the hand-drawn 2.
Yeah, the way I feel is some of these might get something right underneath it, some kind of subtitle right underneath it.
Doctor Strange, the Magic Avenger.
Something like that.
Maybe Captain Marvel, but I'm probably only thinking that because it's so similar to Captain America.
Right? That makes sense to me. So
Then
here we
right.
are, May 2017. Another big year. This is apparently what's unconfirmed. I guess been the next Wolverine movie, or unconfirmed. Anything by Fox.
Fairly official.
Yeah, Fox hasn't really made one of these
nothing,
crazy
nothing
announcements.
since the announcement has ever been said about it. So.
But we got DC making I guess making their other big movie, which is Wonder Woman, around that time. So,
also in July 2017, we have Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok is kind of the end of the world terminology for Norse mythology. I'm sure there's been some comic storylines called Ragnarok. I don't recognize it off the top of my head.
So he'll be returning to Asgard
as it destroys. I think they confirmed that Loki, that Hiddleston, will be back for.
Yeah.
Which.
Well, my understanding of Ragnarok is this is when the sky meets the, similar storyline to what we already saw with I guess it was
Dark World.
Dark World, with the underworld kind of mixing with it, going against Asgard and fighting on Earth. That's similar to what Ragnarok is. Now this is the gods against the demigod, or the demigods, and they also fight on Earth. So that's mythology, but maybe they'll do that again.
Loki's going to be bringing it down, I guess.
Yeah.
He took over Odin's spot at the end of Thor 2.
I mean, I've already seen that if Loki's back, maybe this battle comes because Loki's not the great leader he thought he was, and he has to have a moment of true humility, and Thor has to save the day. I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I would almost like to see a Thor movie without Loki. Let's see if this character... Because, Tom Hiddleston, Loki, nothing against Chris Hemsworth. I think it's more writing, direction, and character. It's kind of the best part of those movies, or at least the most fun part of those movies in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
brings all the fangirls. I'm sure they all like seeing Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
For some reason, he gets all the women. I don't get it.
So I almost would have liked to see Thor try and stand in his own. Age of Ultron might be the first movie with Thor without Loki.
Yeah,
maybe.
So maybe, who knows? He might still make an appearance, or he's the one manipulating it all.
Maybe.
Interesting. I love Tom Hiddleston. So.
Yeah. To me, this is very interesting. The fact that they made another standalone Thor movie.
They've done well.
Yeah,
they've done well, but
Dark World did better than the first one. So.
Here we are. We're seeing a bunch of new characters get introduced, but Thor gets his own, not Iron Man. That's where I was going to make my point.
I think that's money.
Yeah, Iron Man has had his though.
They have to pay. I think they're paying Robert Downey $40 million plus back end for Civil War.
Ooh.
So they don't want to keep tossing that at him for every single film. So November 2017, Black Panther gets his own standalone. He'll originally be introduced in Civil War
with Chadwick.
Yep.
Chadwick what?
Boseman?
Yes. Not Don Cheadle.
People have been clamoring for this forever. So, don't really know much else.
We're going to get our first black president before our first female president. Superhero.
What?
I mean, Black Panther's the B-list, C-list character in the comics, but I mean, Marvel's proven that they can definitely take not known guns. I mean, even Iron Man was kind of a B-tier character in their own comic staple until that movie came out.
Now he's a
nine-figure
movie.
Yeah. So
interesting. I mean, I think this Black Panther is going to get. This is a November release. It's going to be somewhat hidden by the fact that DC announced their Justice League official Justice League movie. 2 weeks after that. So I think it's just going to get. It's great. Marvel is going to be. It's going to be great for Marvel, but I think it's going to lose.
I think the only other Marvel movie to be released in November was Thor: Dark World,
and that didn't really have any competition in November for that genre.
Yeah, no superheroes. I mean,
yeah.
This is going to be so diluted.
I think
in the coming years.
2 weeks for Black Panther is probably all we get, and I mean, summer is getting more and more crowded. So
well, what we got to see is what is it in between. So it's in between Thor. So probably something crazy happens to Thor at the end of Ragnarok. Black Panther kind of picks up. Maybe I think Black Panther is the glue. Black Panther's getting introduced in Civil War.
And he's not like super powered, right? He's just
human,
is he?
Like he's not necessarily that super powered himself, but he wears a suit of like all vibranium, and so that increases and amplifies his strength and lets him jump around and be all on par with Captain America.
Tony Stark designed this suit or something.
It'll be interesting to see who
or maybe Hank
they
Pym,
spin it.
Since they took Ultron away from Hank Pym, he can make Chadwick's suit.
Chadwick, first name basis. Call him Chad. So I think Black Panther is really going to be that glue before the next movie. Which, what do you got, Chris?
May 2018, Avengers: Infinity War, Part 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Justice League is doing this too. I've gone on record and the cinematic universe is great. I love everything being tied. I like the little nods, references. Even the ones that I don't see until I catch a YouTube video later. But I still want my films to be a standalone story. It's great that Iron Man shows up here. That there's reference to Captain America, but I don't want to go into theaters, sit down for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and see it to be continued. So, but I mean, it is what it is.
Me, I'm okay with that. If it's a good cliffhanger, because I love cliffhangers. And I mean, if it's something abrupt, like Lord of the Rings, I'm okay with that too.
That's pretty good.
As long as it's good.
No.
Which I imagine it will.
So I guess this Infinity Wars is going to be continuation of the Civil War.
I don't.
Or do you think Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah,
it's definitely it.
It's a gauntlet.
Even the logo had jewels in it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So you're saying the Civil War is over by this point?
This is probably what reunites them.
Yeah, possibly.
New
heroes coming in.
I mean, they've been planting the seeds for this forever. So I'm surprised that it's taken this long.
The first Avengers, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the first time they really had the. Well, no, Tesseract was in Captain America. So that almost kind of leads a huge guessing game. I think there's 6 stones.
Yeah.
So we know that we saw the Tesseract, we saw the Aether, and then we saw the Soul Gem, and they called it an Infinity Stone for the first time in Guardians. So that's 3. What other 3 movies will have Infinity Stones flying around them? Doctor Strange, for sure.
And Guardians. No, I think Guardians
would be the same stuff.
Doctor Strange, Thor.
Because rumor is that Loki's staff is one.
Yeah,
that's one.
So
that Tesseract.
That's not the Tesseract, though, right?
It's the same power.
Turns out it's not, because the Tesseract was blue, and that I think it was the Space Gem, but then his was speculation. But his was mind, and so that was I think a purple gem, and then no, it can't be. That was anyway.
Guardians. I think the colors necessarily in the movies aren't going to match the comics colors.
But then Von Strucker ends up with the staff at the end of Winter Soldier, so I think we'll see it there. But yeah, I think those are considered two separate stones.
So we're thinking Doctor Strange for sure.
Sure. Thor Ragnarok, probably, because like they'll have it be something weird, like the ether wasn't actually, just represented power.
I'm thinking, being that it's closer to the only thing that's really come out closer to the Thanos storyline is Guardians. I think this is what Guardians is going to introduce it again. I think I put my money on Guardians over Thor.
What's interesting to me, so we have May 2018 for Infinity War, and then July 2018 we have Captain Marvel. So if Captain Marvel's not introduced in Guardians 2, maybe she gets her standalone movie without being introduced anywhere. I almost doubt it, just because like Black Panther's getting introduced somewhere, and they kind of likes ties. But I mean, Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are being spun off on their own. But anyway, so if Captain Marvel shows up in Infinity War, and Infinity War ends on Part 1, comics do this all the time, multiple issues come out, there's to be continues here, and it goes here. How do you think audiences are going to react to potentially walking out of Avengers in May, seeing that to be continued logo, see Captain Marvel like in some dire straits or helping out the team or whatever, and then like a couple months later seeing her do some other crazy adventure? Like if they don't continue that story, if it does it does to be continued for that entire year, these are like kind of two different timelines or whatever.
Maybe they'll go backwards in time.
That's a simple answer. I should have thought of that.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of it taking place in the same timeline, though. I would like to see how it would be done well without confusing people or without turning people off.
This could be, the way they're gluing it, I see Guardians, then going into Infinity Wars Part 1, and then I see Captain Marvel, and knowing the Captain Marvel link between the Guardians, maybe this is the movie where the Guardians kind of
come back home,
and this is how they help out in the Infinity Wars Part 2.
Yeah. And then after that, there's
maybe Infinity War, but Part 1 will end with the glove being put together, and that'll be the cliffhanger. Like, oh shit, he's got the glove now.
Maybe, and that could be it. I at some point, I think it would be a waste if
maybe it's something that could have something else going on in between. Like maybe whatever happens in one is resolved, but we know something bigger is coming, but it hasn't necessarily started yet.
Yeah.
So then we can still see a Captain Marvel between. But I think between going from Captain Marvel to Infinity War Part 2. Oh, there's Inhumans. Okay, that's right. Because I was going to say, because that's a bigger gap than anything else. But yeah, I forgot about Inhumans.
So the end of 2018, you get Inhumans. What's Inhumans? Other than what I know of Inhumans, it's a cheap way for them to get away with X-Men.
It's pretty much what it is. The Inhumans live on the moon. They were originally introduced in Fantastic Four. And they were like this own race that would each have their own unique powers. Recently, in like a crazy battle against Thanos, their king initiated some crazy, weird comic booky plot where regular humans like you and I with inhuman genes started getting triggered and started getting powers randomly, and they get them around like puberty or something ridiculous. So it's very much like mutants. They each have their own unique abilities, and I think this is a direct answer to Marvel trying to get mutants back unofficially, which is ridiculous because the comic book is not great and it did not catch on, and fans have not stuck with it or really read it or enjoy it. But
look what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's true.
Somebody had
so
a good
how does
idea.
this? The interesting part is how would this tie in, or how would this help the Infinity Wars? I guess reinforcements.
They're from space.
They're from space. They also have a huge Kree involvement. You have that whole space, and maybe that's not a coincidence that the Kree messed with humans and made the Inhumans, and they messed with Captain Marvel and give her powers. So, and those movies are right on top of each other. And I don't know. They also give Thanos some more powerful things to kill. I mean, they could use these as cannon fodder to show how powerful Thanos is once he gets the gauntlet, kill off a bunch of unknown Inhumans.
This could be it. I mean, at some point, I think in this whole storyline of Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're going to see the storyline jump somewhere else other than Earth. I mean, Earth can only be destroyed so many times. If this is actually taken into actual years, they're going to have to do some explaining in the Avengers, Age of Ultron, of what they're doing to reconstruct New York. They already kind of did it in Iron Man, but I mean, it looks like a lot of destruction again. So I think at some point we're going to see the whole entire Avengers team move away from the Earth and go fight in space at some point too. As the same way that I see space people coming to Earth to assist them. So that's where I think it's going to go.
So far, we haven't really had any superpowered mutant-like creatures in the Avengers universe, other than I guess Hulk is the strangest one.
Yeah.
So it's going to be strange territory.
And then it all culminates. Phase 3 culminates with the Infinity Wars 2 on May 3rd, 2019.
At least it's only a year.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
And it's not even a year. So the last time we get to see a Marvel
364 days.
Yeah. It's... So... Couple points that I want to bring. Is this it for Marvel?
No.
Heck no.
Phase 3... No, so what... I mean...
There's going to have to be some major changes. I mean, I would imagine they're going to start losing actors. Most actors don't last more than 3 movies, you know.
All right, so...
We're looking at casting
Hang on to
changes.
that. Hang on to that, though. Because I got another point to make. So
Universe
Phase 3,
reboot?
No, so Phase 3, I think they Marvel ran out of stories to pull from. So I think by end of Phase 3, so they got until 2019. By 2019, Marvel as a studios, they better have secured the rights to X-Men, Spider-Man, because that's the only thing that we can bring into Phase 4.
I mean, they're not giving those
Fantastic
up.
Four.
I don't see Sony or Fox letting go of either of those.
I think money's going to fix everything. And that to me seems ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Just take a bunch. I mean, Sony's already kind of took a pretty big hit with Spider-Man.
Domestically, yeah.
Domestically, and even with DVD sales or Blu-ray sales or whatever, media sales, it wasn't that big of a seller. In particular because...
Even though it had Peter Parker's friend.
That's correct, though. That was the big, we're going to get people with this extra scene.
I can watch
But
that
then
on the internet.
exactly, but somebody leaked it ahead of time, it lost it. So, with that being said, and to touch on the point that Drew said is, all right, so here we are in 2014. We still got 5 more years for this whole thing to complete. What actor has to die to completely throw this off? Or
that's a horrible thought.
well, no, listen to this though,
Because you're not saying character, you mean like the actual real life. No.
right, but that's what I'm saying. Are it's Marvel so invested into
Sometimes
the character?
we call things here. So I don't want to discuss.
No, but what I'm saying is Marvel is so invested here into not just characters. They're actually invested into actors playing these characters. And
They'll come back. I don't. Even if it's Robert Downey Jr. and knock on wood, you know. But they'll come back from that. It doesn't. I don't think it matters.
Well, I think it's gonna.
Unless they all die in a plane crash. Sorry.
To me, this seems it's relying a lot. I mean, from this point for the next 5 years, I guarantee you, every single one of these actors is going to be walking around in bubble wrap. Their insurances has to be like crazy high. The amounts of insurances that Marvel and Disney must have on every single part of these actors. There's a lot riding on actors here, which is what I get to see in this whole deal is something happens. The only thing that throws this whole timeline into complete chaos is a death of some sort in that whole ordeal. Which, right now, I think is the advantage that DC has, because at any point, they've known. I mean, they had multiple Supermans, they had multiple Batmans. At any point, they can just say, "Oh yeah, we're continuing on. We're just bringing the new Bruce Wayne. We're bringing the news." Marvel doesn't have that luxury. They're not going to be able to bring in the next Tony Stark.
But DC is being a little weary on replacing Joker. Even still, as far as we know, anyway. I think that was a pretty big deal, and that character is kind of untouchable.
I understand what you're saying from a real-world practical standpoint. I don't want to talk about people hypothetically dying. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, Marvel would just recast the role. I mean, they've proven that they're going to... They don't know. They would have to. They have to say the course.
The only one that they had to recast right now was a secondary role, which was the War Machine.
Right. And I mean, the Hulk, they recast 3 times. I mean, and I understand what you're saying. They haven't had to. And you're absolutely right. Downey and Evans and Scarlett are the faces, probably the 3 biggest faces. I mean, Nick Fury is just kind of a talking head side character. Even they wouldn't even have to have him in half these movies. So
I think Tony Stark and Chris Evans, those are the 2 biggest ones right now.
But I think they would just recast. But I mean, 9 movies coming out, not counting the 2 before these 9. I don't know if Marvel always had this plan or if this was a follow-up to DC announcing their stuff. But I think they just punched DC in the face. Warner Brothers is trying to step in the ring, and the buzz I saw on this on Twitter and post-game announcements, and just logos, and even though Inhumans is as concrete as Green Lantern 2020, I believe Inhumans is going to come out. I don't know if the Flash and Aquaman and all that.
And this is crazy
everything
too.
I mean, I can do better.
Yeah, take into account how they announced it. I mean, Marvel made this a keynote speaking, similar to what Apple does with their new products. Marvel the way that the news came out of Warner Brothers as a studio was they showed a timeline to a group of investors, and that's how the news leaked, and then they made the announcement. But by no shape, way, or form did they really have this. Marvel, to me, seems that they had this thought out even before DC made their big announcements. Marvel takes it again. DC's catching up. They had good firepower for a week. These guys.
This is Comic-Con level stuff. This should.
Yeah,
that was insane. I mean, middle of
Comic-Con,
right? I mean, I can't. I mean, next Comic-Con, I guarantee we're going to see a panel of 20 people who are superheroes. They're going to bring everybody on stage. They're going to have the Guardians. They're going to have Brolin.
Well, thanks to Guillermo, they're going to be too afraid to put them all together.
That's right. Not on the same plane. It's just interesting. Marvel takes it again.
Yeah,
I think. And here's my theory: is by 2019, Marvel Studios, Disney's Marvel Studios, it's gonna own Spider-Man, it's gonna own X-Men, and it's gonna own Fantastic Four, all back by 2020. That's Phase 4, relaunching all those new franchises.
I hope so. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I more likely would see a crossover, studios joining forces, which would be awesome.
Well, it's not happening until 2019. So
that's why, as far as we know, it could be happening in these movies.
But,
well,
any other thoughts, Drew? Nope. Guillermo?
I think I spoke my mind. I can't wait.
All right. Well, if you guys have any thoughts, you can definitely email us at nerdexp@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm NerdEXP. Drew is
Kyoryu Sentai no. Similar. World is square backwards.
Drew may or may not have another podcast.
Yes. I have a name now. It has a name now. Straight Chilling. Although it's not on the internet yet. So we've recorded a few episodes. The plan is to release them in bulk to start with, to give people multiple episodes to listen to. So.
Well, email Drew and he'll send those to you individually.
Email NerdEXP
requesting somebody else's podcast. I don't really want your nerdy podcast. Just go ahead and send me the other guys.
But this straight chilling sounds
There
exciting.
is a straight chilling podcast at gmail.com. So
Okay.
you can email them. Don't email NerdEXP.
Well, thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Guillermo. And thank you, listener.
And thank you, Marvel.
And thank you, Marvel. I hoped we helped you with your entertainment headlines and all your nerdy thoughts. Level up, friends.